Welcome to...
Wait, what?
Are we ready?
Yes.
Welcome to sunny Blackpool.
We're in Blackpool this morning, Lancashire's guilty secret, which probably explains why so many political parties hold their annual conferences here. Blackpool, the inventor of the single entendre postcard, the enamel chip butty, and the toilet-shaped money box. So, what can we say about this bargain basement bordello that wouldn't get us banned off YouTube for obscenity? Well, for a start, it's not in Lancashire, it's a Unitarian authority. Geographically speaking, of course, it's impossible to separate the two, although a lot of Lancashirians would be more than willing to try. Blackpool's full of excitement and romance if you're young, of course, and don't care what boiler you're stoking in the dark, but if you're old and still enthusing about the place, then it's just possible that you might be suffering from brain damage. Complaints to the usual address, please. Blackpool was born of the Wakes Weeks, where mill workers from disassociated northern towns would gather together to let down their hair and any items of clothing that weren't padlocked in an orgy of licentious alcoholism designed to propagate the next generation of factory fodder. Inhibitions were abandoned at the left luggage office as Blackpool accommodated its weekly turnover of working-class interlopers, determined to have a blowout before knuckling down to another 51 weeks of drudgery. Historically, the wakes evolved from the rush-bearing ceremonies, originally established to replace the manky rushes on church floors. On the morning of rush-bearing day, the maidens of the village, and by maidens we really do mean maidens, would disappear into the woods to gather said rushes. Not all of them returned as maidens. One commentator in 1626 said of the activity,
"All the recompense I can make those maids that brought the rushes is to wish them good husbands."
Or, as Terry Pratchett put it, those who went gathering nuts in May often ended up bearing fruit in August. Blackpool bought into this wanton abandon wholesale, the only seaside resort in Britain where the waxworks had a cautionary display of genital diseases. And I'm not kidding either. Even the infamous Tower wasn't immune. One rather blunt Lancastrian wit once described the town as a beach with a hard-on. Until recently, the Tower hosted dwarf strip tea shows for the grockles, a bizarre form of entertainment in this allegedly politically correct day and age. Then again, the Tower's always had a bit of a strange obsession with half-pint-sized people. The correct terminology these days, of course, is persons of a diminutive persuasion. Everybody likes midgets, apart from Jeanette Cranky, of course. And John Lester's jazzing midgets were once the cultural event of the year. We're not suggesting that the aforementioned midgets were miniature prostitutes or anything we should point out before lawyers become involved. It's just that it was a strange obsession. In the 1920s, the Tower's rooftop gardens were converted into Midget Town, with a miniature sports club, town hall, post office, garage, and of course, loads of midgets. For the sake of balance and the avoidance of death threats from the pro-Blackpool lobby, here are some alternative facts about Blackpool Tower. The foundation stone, along with a time capsule, was laid on September the 29th, 1891. The entire structure, including the circus, cafe, rooftop gardens, pubs and world-famous ballroom, cost £290,000 to build. In 1897, the top caught fire, and the flames could be seen 50 miles away. During the Second World War, an RAF radar station unsuccessfully occupied the crow's nest. The famous postbox at the top was opened in 1949. During the 1980s, an enormous inflatable King Kong was tethered to the front. And in 1985, escapologist Cal Bartoni and his bride were married in the tower, suspended in a cage. Right, back to Blackpool's seamier side. In 1923, the town's authorities, recognising the need for grockles to debauch themselves in exchange for monetary considerations, instigated Blackpool's first carnival. It cost £5,500 to stage and attracted hundreds of thousands of visitors. In fact, it proved so popular that the following year another was held. Unfortunately, as is often the case with sequels, this one didn't prove quite so successful. Get-rich street corner vendors began offloading inflated bladders on sticks to rowdy customers who'd had slightly more to drink than good-natured buffoonery required. This led to a series of violent head-slapping incidents, resulting in numerous hemorrhoid-faced children screaming in agony. The much-anticipated 1925 Blackpool Carnival never emerged. Despite the best intentions of the town's more cultured authoritarians, in recent years they've attempted to give the town centre a more continental air, resulting in an unorthodox combination of H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds meets 1940s Parisian chic. The grubby underbelly of the town rumbles on. Between the Gin and the Metropole, for example, runs the covered walk known locally as the Meat Rack. After dark, it becomes a den of iniquity, frequented by all manner of rent boys, flashers, drug dealers, and other denizens of the underworld. According to our sources, and we're going off their information here, not our own experiences, business along the Meat Rack during conference season increases threefold. What do you reckon? Are we being unfair? After all, Blackpool's got tons of history for the more refined antiquarian, such as the fact that Harry Corbett discovered sooty in one of the Onion Dome kiosks on North Pier. He coloured Sooty's nose and paws in with a black pen, apparently, so that they'd stand out on old-fashioned television sets. Or the fact that Uncle Tom's cabin kept falling off the cliffs. Or that on January the 5th, 1941, Amy Johnson, the famous female aviator, set off from Blackpool in adverse weather conditions and was forced to ditch her plane in the Thames estuary, where she subsequently drowned. The town's got slop bucket loads of history. You've got to admit, though, it's not as interesting as the naughty stuff. I'll tell you what, we'll come back another time and cover the more benign aspects. For now, though, click like if you want, subscribe if you can work out how, and we'll come back again next week for another exciting Lancashire Footnote.